Hey everybody, welcome back to Anglerz Life. Me and Brian have a good story for you. This one goes back to 1920 something. I'm messing with you. It's probably like 1950, 60, 70. One of those years, but it has to do with a pretty cool and awesome lure that you guys might still know about. Maybe. So Brian and I are here to dive into something called Martins Lizards. And it's not. I saw other things called Martins Lizards, and it's actually a lizard. We're talking about the lures, and we're going to dive into the deep waters of Martin lizards. Yeah, it's a lure that it didn't just hook fish and bass; it also hooked people. It's almost like a movement. I did a little bit of studying, figured out it was almost like a movement. Nowadays, you just buy lures for what they are. Some because they're in the competitions, they mean something. They have some value to it. But I kept hearing him say this over and over. And then we were at a flea market, and I kind of got a glimpse of what it is. And so it intrigued me. I wanted to share about it, and let's go with it. Hey, say hi to everybody, Brian.
Hey, Eric, how's it going, everybody?
So this is the story of the Martin lizard. This is what I know. This is what I got from like Wikipedia. I'm cheating. He won't be. So I'm just letting you know that right now. I'm cheating. This is what I grabbed so that I can at least not say allegedly. This is what I'm reading from what's out there. And Brian will share with you his stories and what he knows about it. So what I have right here is the Martin lizard is a lure, and its roots are from Oklahoma. Is that am I correct with that, Brian?
Um, it might
Now,
be.
now it said it spread through the Ozarks, but it does. What I'm reading, it says the roots were in Oklahoma and its widespread influence across the Ozark Reservoir. So I'm thinking it started somewhere in the Ozarks, but on the Oklahoma side. And I don't know if it reaches over there or not. I'm pretty sure it gets close by Branson, but
Yeah.
what say ye?
Um, there's two guys that developed this lure. They, I believe it started in Oklahoma. But they actually ended up. The guys actually ended up in Indianapolis and started manufacturing there. But this lure was renowned for its capabilities of catching fish. Throughout Norfolk Lake and Bull Shoals Lake. There's a little piece of paper that comes with the lures, a little pamphlet, and it describes how to use the lure, how to work the lure. But it also at the bottom of it talks about between the late 1950s and early 1960s, that between with this lure between um, Norfolk Lake and Bull Shoals, it caught the largest bass caught on this lure was over 11 pounds.
Shit,
Um,
that's
and
pretty big.
and there were two
Oh,
and between those years, the lure caught between those two lakes caught over 292 bass, all weighing over 4 pounds or more. So it was between 11 pounds and 4 pounds, um, for a total
what?
of
1 second, Brian. All right, people, this is my fuck up. Okay, I wasn't paying attention. This isn't the streets, guys. This is Anglerz Life. What's wrong with me? Shit. I do have another podcast. You just saw the name of it, and we're both interconnected with both things. Okay, the other one talks about other stuff like survival and stuff, and we do intermix these things. My bad. Because I was looking at him, I was like, why does that say Anglers? It says the streets. My bad, people. Go ahead, Brian. That was on me.
That's good. So they have, like I said, 200. So this is what the little pamphlet looks like. that comes with the lure. And it
I
says,
think we're gonna take pictures of those guys, and then we're gonna leave it at the end of the video,
yeah,
or put it in the comments so you guys can see. For those that are on YouTube, Facebook, I don't know how we do that on Spotify, but we'll put that on the end of the video or in the comments so that you guys can see and reference what he's speaking of.
yeah. So it was so for a total of 292 bass, totaling 1,573.5 pounds of fish.
Damn. See?
Yeah,
And that's one lure, guys. One lure out of the billions that you know now.
yeah, and this is so the average weight of each fish was 5 pounds. So, like I said, these lures were made by Jerry Kidwell and Steve Shackle. Those are the two guys that originated this lure. And
I have right here there was Jack Martin as well. That's where they got the name Jack Martin from the Martin Lizards.
It could be. That's probably the original guy. I think these guys might have bought him out later on. I know because I know there was the guy.
It makes sense because in the 1940s is when Jack Martin, it says Drumright, Oklahoma, he crafted it, but I'm pretty sure that what you're talking about, did he sell it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, eventually. But this is what the lure looks like. You know, it's got a pretty simple design.
And there are some that look almost like it too. We saw it at flea market this weekend.
Hellbenders are very similar, but this unique bill shape right here gives this lure action that you just don't get with any other type of lure like this. This thing has so much action. It's crazy. My grandfather used to fish with these on Bull Shoals Lake, and whenever we couldn't catch fish, we would troll these. And you can also cast them up in the shoreline. They do dive deep, so when you're trolling these, they go about 25 feet when you're trolling them. So it's a good summertime bait when the fish go deep because when it gets too hot, and also in the wintertime. So between October and January, these things were killers.
So they says right here that these were packaged in a silver box, and it promised you to get the big ones.
Yeah,
that's a big ass promise right there.
There's the box. I have the original box. And
nice.
And the back of it says, I don't know if you can read that, but it says, Martin Lizard that gets the big ones. Right there. It's right on the back.
See, there it is. There it is. And it says that it evolved from wood. So it used to be wood at first.
Yeah, the original ones were wood. These are not wood. These are a type of plastic. But this is another one. They come in, I think, like 20 different colors. My grandfather's, the one he liked the best was a dark green on top, had a black stripe here, and then it had glitter all over it with a white belly. And that was the one that was his favorite one to use. And we caught that color caught a lot of fish for it.
So despite, the one thing I think that stays constant with that is you said that do you believe that if you were to cast that out above your other lures that you would probably hit, what do you call it? You would probably get something?
Yeah, I definitely would. I don't use these. These are the only ones I have left. I don't fish with them right now because they're got a lot of sentimental value to me. Being that they were my grandfather's. So I don't fish with them now, but I know if I put one of those on the line, and I have no doubt that these would catch fish.
What I see right here, it says, these lures were renowned for their ability to float at rest and dive deep upon retrieval. It exhibited a wobbling, rocking, and erratic action that proved they're resistible to fish. I mean, fish are not hip like us. They don't have iPads and iPhones and the latest model of computers or updates and shit like that. They're nature. Okay, they're going to consistently be who they are going to be. And these type of things, if they're going to work back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, it'll work today. Nothing's going to change that. The only thing that's going to change is, the fish migrating somewhere else, but it's not going to change it. But
Yeah.
the thing about this is you said that was back in the day, though. What happened to them now? Like, where are they at?
They stopped making these back in the, let's say, early '80s. I'm not sure if the guys retired or what, but yeah, they stopped making them. And you can't find them. You can find them on like eBay and stuff like that. People selling antique lures.
$40, guys. I saw
Yeah,
them for $40. They're
yeah,
expensive a
yeah,
piece.
yeah. They're expensive, and the wood ones are even more. If you can find a wood one, those are like over $100.
The wood
But
ones were made out of cedar. It
yeah,
says cedar wood.
The unique thing about this, I don't know if you can see here, that's the eyelet right there where you hook the line to, but you cannot tie a line directly to this. You have to use a swivel or a loop knot, which gives it some slack. Because if you tie a line directly to this, it interferes with the action of the lure. It actually doesn't work properly. So you have to use a small swivel hook up with this, and then tie your line to the swivel. But what these do is they start in the water. They start like this, and they bob up and down. They float, and then when they go, they dive this way. I mean, this bill deep really digs into that water and pulls it down. And what they do is when they do this type of action like this, and it's not a little, it's really wide like that. And when what happens is like when you're casting these and you start to you do a really slow um uh reel it in really slow, so a slow retrieval. And as it's going like this, and then as you reel it, you give it a couple jerks and it'll dart back and forth like this, and then you stop and then it'll float up. And then you do it again and it'll dig dip down. So it looks like a wounded fish. And that's usually when you let it float, that's when the bass strike. So you give it you give it a couple good cranks, give it a couple jerks, and then stop and let your line go slack, and this thing goes going up, and that's when the bass, bam, they can't resist that float going up.
What is it, Brian? What do you think? What animal insect does it resemble most to them?
It's more
That it
it's pretty much like a dying shad or a dying bluegill,
Okay.
depending on what color you got. So this is a black and white one, so this would be more like a shad. Um, they do have ones that are painted silver, which would represent a really good shad. They have bluegill colored ones. Um, like I said, they have the green one. It just depends, but it pretty much represents replicas of dead fish that's dying. When you fish it that way, we
So
also.
yeah, I got.
Oh,
Oh, go
sorry. Go
ahead.
ahead. No, so
No, you go ahead.
one of the things that another way we used to fish these is we would take back in the day they had pork rind. I don't know if you guys. I haven't seen pork rind in a while, but I'm sure they still make them. Uh, but it's a piece of hide about this long. They come in all different colors. We used to try to pick one that was similar to this. So like this one, I would put a white one on. I'd hook it to the back, and then I would slit it from the tip all the way to the point where there's a hole in it you could hook it through on the hook. So you take your fillet knife and just start just before that hole and slice it all the way down the middle, and then we'd hook that on there,
Jeez.
and it'd give it a tail about this long, and then that tail would just kind of do this behind it, like a fin, and that really drove the bass crazy. So when my grandpa and I were really having, a hard time catching fish, we'd find a point where they had a bunch of fish on it, about 25 feet, and we would troll these right over the top, and we'd always come home with 4 or 5 bass.
So Martin, you guys know a little something about Jack Martin. Jack Martin opened up this company in Seattle, and he did this back in 1927, almost 100 years ago. Just think about that.
Yeah.
And this one lure, believe this one right here, it says it was known to give some of the reputation in the water bodies for the lunker bass between the 19. It's exactly what Brian said in the 1950s. from Norfolk, Bull Shoals, and Table Rock Lake. I mean, what can I say? It has a good reputation, and a lot of people probably don't know about it anymore. It'd be nice to see them again, or that business, somebody to open it up, or somebody crazy enough like us to just take over the name and do it ourselves. I don't know.
Yeah.
That would be a great idea. I mean, you have to kind of like look at all the, what do you call it, the trademarks and everything and the patents. But I mean, it'd be nice for someone to get going. I mean, I'd be a customer. I'd be an owner too if he's willing to. If the family's willing to part ways with it, or it's not registered at all, I'd probably take it over, and I mean, I'd probably invest in it and see where it goes from there, because there's a lot of tournaments out there. There's a lot of professional fishermen out there that would love something like this.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, these baits are, like I said, they're incredible. My grandfather, this was always his go-to bait when he couldn't catch fish. He's like, let's put the Martin Lizards on and start trolling. And he'd troll these over the points, and like I said, we always come home with fish. Always with these.
so these are, like he said, we saw the ones that were at the flea market, and it's an imitator. I mean, I would say it's an imitator, but not so. It's its own thing. But what was that? The one that we saw? What was it called?
They're called Hellbenders, and they still make those. But the bill on Hellbenders is a heart shape. It's actually heart shaped, and they
It
have
looks like a squid.
Yeah, it's the action on those is not nearly. They don't go as deep. The Hellbenders don't go as deep as Martin Lizards, and the action on the Hellbender is not as predominant as this one is. This one
Right.
really erratic, and and it just, the action just doesn't compare to the Hellbender's action doesn't compare to these.
The other one's a point, guys, and think about it. You know, when somebody jumps into the water and they point like this, they're cutting through the water. It's probably cutting more, so it's not giving the same action. This one's like sticking, like going on a boat, right? And you're on let's say you're on the back of a door from the house. You know, you get on the door and then you try to flip it up. It's going to have some resistance against that water because there's nothing to cut it, and it's so flat that you're just doing this. You're just doing this in the water. I would think it's the same action because it's a wide build on there, that it's just doing this. And it's shaking in the back. And like what he said with the pork rinds in the back, you're looking like a fish just doing this in the water. And if you're diving deep, but you're really coming back up and you're diving deep, I mean, that's a lot different than something that's pointed, that's going to cut through the water and kind of go in there and not give that effect.
Yeah.
It's just going to look like something diving through.
Yeah, it's like, so like I said, these lures have a lot of memory for me. And I've been like I told like Mark said, we were at a flea market, and I kept telling him, said, like, I find a Martin Lizard, I'm looking for Martin Lizards. And he was like, what? Finally he looked at me and goes, what the heck's a Martin Lizard? So
oh wait, I was looking for a fucking lizard.
Yeah.
I was literally looking for a lizard. But I get it now. Oh, you know what? That answers my question, guys. What is it supposed to imitate? What animal? What insect? A lizard. Because a lizard does. I have seen lizards in the water, and they do that action when they're like that.
Yeah.
A lizard. I get it now.
Yeah.
Answered. So these are collectibles. Pretty much why they cost so much. If you're gonna buy someone something like that, make sure you get like 2 or 3 of them, because they're probably gonna want to fish it and keep the other ones. It's like little trophies of theirs. I don't know. I probably would.
I used one after my grandfather died. I was trolling one, and I actually lost it. And we were trolling the out in the orchard in Bull Shoals. There's an apple orchard that's under the water that's not too far from Oakland Boat Dock, and it's right around the corner from Point 9. That whole area in there, that whole stretch is actually, and it was an old apple orchard. And there's still trees down there, and the water was low, and I was trolling this. It was just right above the tree line, and I got in a little bit of shallow water, and it got hung up. And I tried for probably 45 minutes trying to get that lure back, and it just would not. I couldn't get it back. and finally my line broke, and I felt so bad because I lost that lure that I said, nope, never again am I using them. So I put them up, I took them out of my tackle box and put them up on a shelf, and they've been there ever since. But I wanted to talk about these tonight because one, they're just an incredible lure, and it's an incredible lure from the past. I think it's probably the best lure from the the past years, and just the guys that used to use these. I remember going to the bait stores my grandpa used to go to, all the lure stores, and they'd have hundreds of these, in little boxes, and I used to look at all the different colors, and my grandpa bought me a couple of them. This is a couple of them that he bought. I have another one that has a red head. This part is all totally red, and then the body back here is totally white, and it's got black eyes. But that one's a cool one too. But it's just I just wanted to talk. I wanted to share this with Mark, and I want to share this with you guys. But the funny thing of it is, I don't know if you can see. Can you see the price on this, Mark? Can you see that?
Is it $1.49 or $149?
$1.49. That's what these things used to sell for.
Oh.
Yeah, not $149.
It probably would be worth that almost. And I'll tell you right now, if there's some of you ladies out there that are ready to divorce your husband and they got these things, I will leave my email address and I'm willing to buy these things off of you. I'm just letting you know that right now. Or Brian would definitely be willing.
I'd buy everything they had.
We will send that. We will send you some roses for a parting gift as you're about to go enter your new life. But we will definitely take care of those fishing lures for you.
Yeah,
definitely collectibles. I'm going to see if any of you guys out there know anything about them and your fishing stories about and if you have pictures, that would be awesome, of Martin lures or just certain lures that were very famous at that time. This one's I would say the way I look at it now, it's a very famous one, very important one because it has a guarantee behind it. Now there's some that it's a biased thing, right? If I say, okay, Brian, you talk about this, it could be biased, but there's a guarantee behind this thing. So a guarantee means you will catch something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how you're going to chase down a guy who's probably already passed away, but there's a guarantee behind this lure. So if you can find yourself one, get yourself one. I mean, just don't snag it up in an underwater orchard.
Yeah, right.
So no wonder he's angry at Poseidon.
So there is another little story to this. So on our webpage, on Anglerz Life, there's a blog part in there, and I have a story about my grandmother catching a striped bass out of bull shoals, and one of these is what she caught it on. So in there, I talk about a Martin Lizzard, and this is the lure that I'm talking about, and that fish was over 18 pounds.
It's not the one on your wall, is it?
Yep.
Or is that the one? Oh, it's the one. Okay, so if you guys want to check, it's the first or second episode we made in Anglerz Life. You could check it on there. He already has that thing on his wall. It's pretty cool too.
Yep.
The taxidermied. But
yep.
Anything else you want to share, Brian, with the audience?
No, that's it. I just wanted to talk about Martin Lizards. As like I said, they were a huge part of my childhood. My grandfather, swore by them. He's got a couple lures that we'll talk about, some other ones here in the next couple upcoming episodes. I talk about one called the Sidewinder. Mark doesn't know about this one yet, but it's a spoon type. It's a spoon. It's a unique spoon that you just can't see. You can't. I mean, they still make them. I looked them up. They still do make these, but you just don't hear about them anymore. And I'd like to bring that one back and hopefully maybe get some guys turned on to it. But that's another episode, and I'm looking forward to that one too.
Yeah, hopefully we can get a movement going on, get all these lures that actually did something, get them all back. Yep. I know half of mine, probably from China. I don't know, man. I'm not gonna lie. Get them off of Amazon. A lot of these things that he's talking about were American made. So the people knew the water, they knew the behaviors of the fish.
whenever I look for new lures, I look for ones that have bills, big bills that are more square instead of rounded. Berkeley, the flicker shads that they make, those are actually not bad lures. They go deep, and in fact, that's the one that Berkeley flicker shad is one that your daughter caught that.
Oh yeah, the
That big
drumfish.
that big drum on it. But uh, there are some new lures out here that um, do action similar, but nothing can. Not I have still have never found anything that compares to a Martin Lizard. I don't care what they have out there, who plopper hoppers or all these other names that
The
they've come
weird
up.
names to them.
Yeah, but they don't compare to a Martin Lizard.
So, hence, we wanted to share that about a lure that was it has its own guarantee. That's important to me. It's because I've had a lot of L's these last few years, and I'm not gonna lie to you. When I was in my 20s and 30s, I had a lot of W's, like a lot to just boast about it. But in my 40s, man, I haven't been too lucky. I'm not gonna lie. The only lucky thing I had is I have a son. That's about it. That's the only time I got lucky, because I have not caught anything worth catching. Like, I've caught little things, but I've caught some big stuff in my life, and I'm telling you right now, I'm ready. I'm itching to just get back out there. But you know how life just comes at you about certain things. You got to do certain things here and there. We're trying to do more podcasts, but we got other things. We're moving to Fort Worth from Illinois, so we're still coming along. But we want to share like quality stuff, and this Martin Lizard lure is something that we believe is quality, has its own guarantee. Don't know if it's out there, but I think we should have a movement. Somebody should hashtag that, Martin Lizard's Lures, and let's see where we can go with it. Maybe we can get this company revived. If they still got that guarantee. I know it's hard to give a guarantee, but you can always say allegedly. It's if not, hey, maybe we can take a stab at it and see if we want to open that up for ourselves and do something with it. But other than that, I think we're gonna end on that, and I think we'll share some pictures with you, what he has, so you can see those old magazine things that he has from back when he was 30 years old, 1950 something. I don't know, but he has those. We'll post them up.
1950 when I was 30. Yeah, that's it.
I'm not that far behind them, guys. I just paint my fucking beard. That's all. There's the only difference. I paint my shit.
I just finally accepted it. That's all.
I'll get there. I'll get there one day, bro. I'll get there. Just not yet. So either way, thank you guys for joining us for this one. If we can, we will post something on Anglerz Life, our webpage, or on Facebook, and we'll try to post some more Martin Lizard stuff so you guys can check it out. But other than that, Brian,
until next time, keep your lines tight, guys.
All right, we'll see you guys later.